You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
I think Micah has crashed our system. He got into our computers.
Micah?
Yeah.
Micah who?
Or from the chat earlier.
Oh, gotcha. I already forgot about him.
We've had to reboot a couple of times. I mean, what the heck?
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on. Got a little bug, end of the year bug. The Grinch is here.
Yeah. I mean, it would be like the end of the year show, right? Where it starts,
of course.
You know.
We've had a lot of good luck. I was just saying, a lot of good luck with the system, but it can be fragile at times. So I did not like all this negative Jags talk.
I know. Well, do you think it has something to do with, too, with like whoever we go through? I mean, maybe they're kind of out of, because we go through like Restream, right? That's fine. I'll put people on blast. Is it called Restream?
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be a Restream thing.
So maybe it's like Restream.
I think it's probably more of a computer thing. We overloaded the computer.
Well, I'm just trying to blame somebody, Brent. Come on, man.
I always blame Hamby.
Yeah,
he really can't do anything. That's why
Scapegoat, right? Scapegoat.
Yeah. It's really not him.
Hey, we gonna put this meat on ice, or what are we doing here, Hamby? The meat.
We got some bigger problems right now.
Yeah. And by the way, Gary, you're right. Austin did hit the button that messed up the computer, so maybe something else happened there.
You think it had something to do with it? Did I ruin it? You don't think so?
No.
You trying to make me feel better because you're afraid of me, or are you telling the truth?
I'm not afraid of you.
I know you're not. That's why I like you, man. That's why I like you. Keep me humble.
Keep me humble. I did see your USC place.
Oh, yeah, UFC. Yeah.
I sent you the picture.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back. That's like a compound out there.
Dude, it's crazy. It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that's what it was. I mean, like multiple buildings.
Correct.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
I want to get in there sometime.
Tanking happened. We're tanking for more stuff, I guess, right? Is that what we're doing?
Tro Pats is like a huge Mac Jones fan.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how are we feeling?
We never even said this, but like, how about the fourth down play? I asked, Mac got asked about the fourth down play, and I thought his response was interesting me because what interests me a lot of times about the league and talking to players, and you've said this, and you know this, is that players have rules. And the rules being like, if this happens, I do this from a trend standpoint. Like, you got to realize, way before analytics, the league is set up on trends to begin with, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, if you see this, I do this. Mm-hmm. And, that's why some plays really work and then some plays they don't because they throw a wrinkle in or whatever else. Well, what Max said about that in that situation caught my attention. He's like, well, what you really don't want to do is take a sack there.
Yeah.
Right? It's fourth down and 11. And so basically in his mind, he's like, my rule is don't take a sack. So I didn't have what I had initially. Next rule is don't take a sack. At least give my guy a chance.
Sure.
So I see what he's doing there in his mind, like in his processing. And then I kind of say, and I don't know if this is what separates good versus great or whatever else, like, okay, sometimes you say, screw the rules and go make a play. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a little bit of the Jags' problem. And I'm just using Mac as an example. I'm not getting all over him here. I'm just saying, to me, when your thought is don't take a sack, it's just, yeah, you got to have that a little bit instinctually. It's like, why did Aiden O'Connell throw the ball out of the end zone on the 2-point conversion? I don't get it. Mm-hmm. Like, I really don't know what rule would suggest that other than, as some guy suggested on Twitter, well, they can return an interception for 2 points. I was like, yeah, because that happens once every 8 years. Throw a jump ball up, dude.
Yeah.
But isn't that Mac way of thinking, the way he's playing as a backup quarterback too, isn't that a little bit of the problem with the Jags? It's like you're afraid of what might go wrong. Mm-hmm. So don't play the go wrong part.
No, go out there and try to win a game.
Play.
No, for sure. But listen, and this is football 101, Brent, and this team has showed us this year a couple times. When the game's on the line, Brent, when all the chips are down and you need someone to make a play and the game's on the line, it's the last play of the game or last play to get a first down conversion, you got to go to your third down back. Got to go to your third string third down back, Brent. Got to go to your third string third down back every time. Got to do it. You got to. Brian Thomas Jr., nah. Come on, what are we talking about? Brenton Strange was even playing? I couldn't tell. Luke Farrell? Let's go to our third string running back. Let's do it, Brent.
All right, that's it on that.
Okay.
We got to talk.
By the way,
he's been involved in 3, by the way, game-losing plays this year.
And
to be honest, this isn't a knock on him.
No, not at all. And should I maybe not have swore like a sailor in front of the TV?
You did again?
Had to. Yeah, I had to. Brent, I don't know why, because it wasn't even like I didn't put any money on the game. I had zero investment because I cover the team and I want to see them do well, but zero investment in the team. But when I saw Dearness Johnson catch that ball with you needed 8 yards to go, oh yeah, you better believe I dropped what the bleep are you bleeping doing?
Well, you know what's interesting? I had come down through to the press box. It's a long way. So I was making my way down with a few minutes to go actually when they got the ball back. So I'm actually watching it a little bit on my phone on the ESPN, and then you can see some TVs, but they didn't have a lot of TVs. And this place is so it's really weird. Usually when you're going downstairs they got
them in elevators, stairwells.
You
everywhere.
either have all that or you can hear the crowd. So you kind of gauge a good play happened or a bad play happened. Well, they have concrete. Couldn't even hear the game. As I'm walking through the halls, the game is basically where Amby is at the drive-through window here, and I couldn't hear the game. You couldn't hear if a good play is. It was wild. It was dead silent. It was like walking through the other side of this building on a Saturday night.
Weird.
I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell what was going on. So anyway, I got to in a spot where I actually saw a play as I'm making my way down and trying to get closer to the field. And I see the 4th and 1. And I see him get it. And then I make my way into the post room, and I look up, and it's 4th and 11, and I actually see the dump pass to Dearness Johnson. And I'm like, I saw the dump pass before I saw 4th and 11. And it then happens almost simultaneously. I'm like, what happened? I just saw him get a first down, so I missed the holding call.
Yeah.
Was it a hold? I mean, was it?
Yeah.
You thought it was a hold?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, now I'm processing all this at the same time. Did they just, on the last play of the game, throw it to Dearness Johnson to try to elude 3 guys and come up 4 yards short? Yes, they did, Brent.
They absolutely did, Brent.
They did.
It's the calling card, man. It's signature.
And one more thought goes through my mind, and I said this last week at the end of the game. The bottom line is the Jags quarterbacks have been bad at the end of games this year. You go, the Dolphins was a game. Now you go Minnesota, Philadelphia, this one, last week. They've had chances in a lot of games. And I guess I would side with Doug on this, and this is probably where he is at. It doesn't look like he takes all the blame or any of the blame sometimes. But he's probably the quarterback is usually supposed to win you these kind of games here. This is what happens.
Yeah.
And they're not doing that. So that is a part of it. There's a lot of issues going on in Jacksonville. But one of the simplistic things is, hey, if your quarterback gets in position this time, this is where games are won in the NFL. And a lot of quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels did it. We know Patrick Mahomes does it a lot. We've seen Herbert do it. We've seen Burrow do it. These guys do it. And they don't do it every time. But they also don't go 1 for 6 in that span or 1 for 7. Yeah. And the only one I think I remember them doing it is Indianapolis. That's where they got it done. And it was 34-34, and Trevor let them down. So that's a problem. That's one of the problems here in Jacksonville. All right, hey, quick. Brian Thomas Jr. I know we've been talking about what else is there to say? But other than thank you, because he keeps getting it done, man. I mean, 131, 9 catches. I thought this was going to be a year where, watch, I won't even get him the ball. Remember, they had that 2-game span where they hardly got him the ball. And they're not going to get him the ball. I think ever since that time, where basically the whole world of Jacksonville called them out, are you going to get him the football? They, have gotten him the football in a variety of ways. They've made a concerted effort to do it. And I actually think you're starting to see a lot more of the eye candy stuff, not just with Brian Thomas Jr., but guys in motion in the backfield, guys going back, stuff that we weren't seeing in the first half of the year.
Correct.
It feels like they're getting back to some of those kind of play calls where we asked, where was that? Where has that been? And I have no idea what the answer to that is, but it looks like to my eye we're seeing more of that stuff. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, you've really got one player that's going to make a difference right now in your football team. And Brian Thomas Jr., to his credit, everybody knows he's the one player, and he's still delivering.
No, without a doubt. And it's really the silver lining of this entire intrepid season. And listen, there was a couple times. Did he have one drop yesterday, or was it it kind of went off the hands. Didn't really know. Brent, did everyone drop yesterday?
He did.
Yeah.
He had a drop, and then he had the one that was a real drop because I was like, oh boy, this is really contagious.
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
got the holding call negated it anyway,
that's right.
so it
Okay.
didn't become a thing.
Yeah, for sure. But there was a couple instances too where, like, I think Mac missed him a little bit.
Mac,
where
early in the
where
game, man, he
showed
had him.
I know, and then you could see like once again, he's not necessarily like the most like diva person, but he's a human.
He's frustrated.
So you can see when he's frustrated,
Yeah.
right? So like, it led me to believe, man, like if you put him like on the Chargers, you put him on the Bengals, Brent, you might be talking about like
1,500.
You might be talking about like Justin, and I don't want to like put it, but you might be talking about Justin Jefferson numbers, like honestly, like that good.
Well, go back to the
'Cause
game what did Trevor get hurt? What game?
I can't.
Hamby, you remember what game he got hurt? That he was out and Mac came in? Remember they both missed him on a deep ball?
Oh, that was Houston.
Oh, that was a Houston.
Trevor got hurt. Yeah.
Oh, what am I thinking? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Houston. So that could have been a 200-yard day.
Of course.
And now we know Max missed him a couple of different times the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that probably are good for another 50 yards at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about a guy right now that's got 1,000 and whatever he's got, 70, 88, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He could be at 1,200, 1,300 maybe right now with a couple more touchdowns.
Correct.
And I say could. I mean, there's a lot of could in sports. I'm talking about like easy. Like by accident, he could be there. So you're right. This year could be even more special for him right now. And you know what? Here's the deal. Now he's checked every box. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't think he's getting to 1,500 now. I mean, he's not getting 400 yards in the next two games. But can he get to like 1,250, I guess? And can he get double-digit touchdowns? I guess that's the mark that you look at next. What I don't have a good feel for is where's the ceiling on him. I don't know how good is he right. I think the quarterbacks could be better around him. My guess is he could too be a little bit better in spots that we're kind of overlooking. But how much better is this guy going to get? And of course, we don't know that answer.
Yeah.
But there's certainly more upside. There's got to be more tapped into that.
No, without a doubt. I mean, he's a rookie after all. Like, give him a couple seasons. Let's see what he's capable of. I think he has the opportunity to be one of the top 5 best wide receivers in the NFL.
That's crazy.
I really do. I guess, like, what have I seen to show that he's not going to be that? You know, yeah, I get he's had some big drops at big times, and hopefully that gets cleaned up. But I remember, like, everyone getting on Jamar Chase about, like, having drops. Remember, then there was the thing with, like, the football is not painted with the white stripes. So he remember Jamar Chase had
have that.
Like, people were all over him about, like, oh, the guy drops the ball in preseason and everything. Well, no one really says that about him now. You probably say Jamar Chase the top 5 wide receiver in the National Football League. So I think Brian Thomas Jr. could get up there as well.
Yeah,
How many LSU guys are going to be top 5, by the way?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Insane.
I do wonder about this. I think I wonder if he's got a little bit of Ingram's end of the year in him right now, or if this can be normal. And again, skill set wise, it can be. I'm just wondering about the offense.
Okay.
Because right now you really don't have anybody to get the ball to. So like you can force feed him, and they're still scoring 14 points a game, and he's playing great. But remember, Ingram caught like 100 balls in the last like 6 weeks, and nobody else to throw it to last year. You know, and again, that's not a knock on the player. It's just like you don't have to spread the ball out as much. You know, your hope is to have to spread the ball out. But is he going to be more Jamar Chase? Is he going to be more Justin Jefferson? Where, heck, there might be a game or two where you only get like 4 catches, 5 catches. But most of the time, you're going to be up at double-digit targets, even if you do have other weapons. I mean, Cincinnati's got enough people to throw the football to, and so do the Vikings. But they still make sure he gets it. Their guys get it. And that will be a task for the Jags and to do that. And I think, hey, here's where we've seen the offense evolve a little bit. People will tell you that the Doug Peterson offense, this kind of style offense, this West Coast style, is going to be reactionary to what the defense gives you. What I like about what they've all of a sudden done is like, you know what? We're not going to be reactionary. We're going to get this guy the ball.
Yeah.
Because that's out of the norm for them.
But here's the thing, Brent, and I get it. There's some guys in the National Football League where it doesn't matter what defenses show at you, like you try to get that guy the ball. You saw with Jefferson when he played here in Jacksonville. Now, hindsight 2020, you probably should have took the foot off the reins a little, or the gas, and said, hey, let's go maybe to Hawkinson a little more, because you kept on trying to go to Jefferson in the end zone, and it led to 3 turnovers, right? But I think if you look at the numbers yesterday for Brian Thomas Jr., yeah, dude had 9 receptions, 13 targets. So 4, you could say 4 missed passes. 1 went off his hands, obviously. 1 was a bad throw. The guy's getting open is my point, right? Like, there's just some guys where in the NFL where you can't really get open, but you try to force them and it's not working out. That's fine. If your number 1 receiver is getting open every single time, then just keep throwing him the football.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So until I see something different from Brian Thomas Jr. that makes me believe the guy can't get open, the guy is stagnant, the guy can't get out of his routes, just keep throwing the football.
Yeah, the evidence is really there. Hey, I got it before we get out of here today, which we're still a little bit of ways, but we got a little sidetracked with the computer crash on us a couple of times. I got to get to the college football playoff. It was a dud, right? I mean, the games weren't good.
Hear me out, Brent. Top 4 teams in the playoff, and that's it. Just take the top 4.
No.
I'm kidding.
No, thank you.
I'm kidding. But kind of,
See,
I'm kidding.
I don't. No. Where do you come off on? I mean, it's okay if you think that way. Like,
No,
I
don't
respect
think
that opinion.
way.
I disagree with that opinion. I think. It took however many years for a 16 to beat a 1 in the NCAA tournament, and we're not talking about that kind of win here. Like, these teams are closer together than that. But we see blowouts in like NFL playoffs all the time. And while sometimes, like, I didn't honestly think SMU was outclassed necessarily by Penn State. The quarterback played terrible. Like, he gave him 3 touchdowns.
And I completely forgot. I owe you guys a told you so from our Friday picks. Because I even said, hey, you remember this?
Yep.
What did I say? I said they can't handle the cold weather from Dallas. They're going to struggle. They're going to turn the ball over. And then I'm going to text you guys at midnight and say, I told you so. And I forgot to text you guys. Damn it. But yeah, nevertheless. Keep going, Brett. Sorry.
So, the bottom line is he played bad. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think he played bad. Mm-hmm. I thought the quarterbacks actually, like Indiana's quarterback, Rourke, they looked like they're in the headlights in this spot. I will say that. Those guys, it seemed big for them.
Yeah. I guess my disappointing thing about it, Brent, is that it went exactly how I thought it was going to go. Like, every single game.
Really?
Yeah. Because, this is the great thing about tournaments. Like, you watch college basketball, and yeah, you can say this is good, but you have no idea. Like, a 2 is going to beat a 15, right? There's going to be upsets nonstop. There's going to be Cinderellas. I didn't think anything was going to – I think out of the ordinary was going to happen this weekend. And I even thought, like, Tennessee, I thought they had 0 shot. I really did. Because I think Ohio State's the second best, if not the best team in college football.
Yeah. Hamby, what do you think, man? What do you make out of this whole deal? Is it just a one-off? You sound like your old school guy want 4 teams. I don't, but you can.
Yeah, I thought Texas and Clemson would have made a great Tax Slayer Gator Bowl here in Jacksonville. I thought Penn State SMU would have been a great Valero Bowl, or whatever the case may be. Look, a couple more playoff games, and I get it, is cool, because I wouldn't have watched those games if they were bowl games, and I was dialed into them here. Sure. Not worth losing the prowess and the power of each individual regular season game. That's from the very beginning. That's all I care about for a college football is I want every game to matter. When Georgia lost to Alabama in Week 5, I didn't care because I still knew we were going to make the playoff. That's what makes college football the best thing to me. Is that regardless of whether the Chiefs beat the Texans or the Texans beat the Chiefs in the NFL, nobody cared because both teams are going to be in the playoffs and you're fighting over a little seed at the end of the day. Now I know seeds matter and all that, but that's what makes college football. So we lost that completely because we let 12 teams in, and that's not worth it for games like this. Now, if to be honest, I would give me a 4-team, give me a 6-team, or 4 and 5 have to play in to get the 4 to play the 1 or something like that. That's what I was on from the jump. I get that 4 may be a little bit exclusive, and the 5th best team could win it all because I still thought Georgia could have won it all last year, and I did agree that Florida State got slided. So I'm not just anti any expansion whatsoever. But the 12 team and the 11 team. Here, well, let me just start with this because I think everybody could probably agree with this. You fix a lot of this automatically if you don't give the auto buy to the 12th ranked team in it and the 10th ranked team in it.
Yeah, they got to revamp that. Everybody's been saying that since the seed came out. They've got to revamp.
That's easy. So that will help. That will help because I want to obviously going back to 4 is maybe what I want. It's not realistic. It's never going to happen. So what can we actually do? That's step one. That'll fix stuff immediately. But truthfully, if I was the commissioner, I would go back to 4 or 6, and then you say, well, you want more football, but nobody's going to watch bowl games. Well, my idea, and I don't know if I've heard of this elsewhere, I'm sure it's been elsewhere, but make bowl games, the winner gets a large pool of NIL money, and the players get NIL money if they win. Each player gets $20K, a $2 million allotment, $20K for each guy if you win the bowl game. You won't have guys. You won't have guys sitting out. You'll still watch Clemson, Texas, in whatever bowl, and because nobody's going to be sitting out anymore.
Yeah, that's actually those are valid points. I think. Like, I don't agree with any of them really, because I just think it shouldn't be this archaic to have 4 or 6 teams in. I mean, you need a tournament style. That's how playoffs are determined everywhere. Listen, should there be 14 teams in the NFL playoffs this year? Probably not. League hasn't been very good. Should there be 14? No, but that's the way it goes sometimes. I mean, this is a weird year and year one of this playoff that there were no really good teams in college football. There's nobody dominant. I don't even care. Oregon, even as undefeated, isn't dominant.
So what does that tell you when you go back to years like that, if we do, where we have more dominant teams? It's only going to get worse.
I don't know if the first round bye games those 4 dominant teams, to your point, would have been in a bye or should be in a bye, right?
Right. So you're not only going to get dominant wins and blowouts in round 1, you're also going to get in 2.
Nah, because then you bring sports into play. Like, again, these teams could SMU, if they don't. I mean, if that game goes, if they throw the 4th and 1 touchdown and they catch that, team's totally different,
I
right? And that's what sports are sometimes. I think a little bit of this was circumstantial. Do I believe that Tennessee can't beat Ohio State? Not really. They sucked. They
did.
But I don't. Now, I think the other one, Indiana, how many times are they going to beat Notre Dame? I think we learned a little bit Indiana wasn't in the class, right? They didn't look like they were in that class. Fair enough. That happens too.
But that's the whole point, Brent. This is the playoff.
It doesn't matter, man. Every playoff features this. There are sweeps in baseball. There are blowouts in wild card games. What's the difference?
So I'm going to tell you right now, I think the landscape of this whole thing and a precedent's going to be set with 2 games coming up. It's going to be the Arizona State-Texas game, and it's going to be the Boise State-Penn State game. If Boise State can keep it close or even beat Penn State, and I think if Arizona State can beat Texas, then you have a rhyme to the madness of saying, okay, this is what we're doing should pan out the way we expected it to. And this could really well happen, if Penn State comes out and blows Boise State's doors off, which could very well happen, and if Texas comes out and just crushes Arizona State, you might have to say, we got to relook at this whole thing again. And honestly.
This is not a knock on you, so I'm not attacking you, but the argument itself, the fact that it was just said as an argument that Boise State needs to keep it close, right, when they're the 3 seed playing a 6 seed.
Oh, I know him.
Tell you all you need to know.
No, listen,
and that's why I think
I'm not against. Yeah,
but
we're on the same page.
The fact that that's a thing kind of proves the point.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I think we're looking at a very small sample. Okay, 1 year does not tell the story. The one thing that 1 year has told is exactly the seeding part. I think you should not be the 12th ranked team or 13th ranked team and get to and jump to the. That doesn't.
Ohio State should be playing Oregon in the second round.
That shouldn't.
I'm sorry,
happen, right?
It shouldn't happen.
Well, listen, I don't know about that part, Austin, because Ohio State, just because they look good, they lost at home to Michigan. They paid that price. They're going to have to now beat a good team. But Boise State shouldn't automatically be a 3
I'm saying for Oregon. Oregon's the best team in the country, and you reward them by having them play Ohio State the second game?
Yeah, like the reseeding or what. I don't know how that. They've got to figure that part out. I get it. But I also think we're going to look up next year, and nobody's going to complain about it if there's only Boise State in, and the other teams that are in are now, let's just replace Indiana with Alabama. Let's replace Arizona State with Ole Miss for lane's sake. And nobody's going to complain about it. And you're just going to be like, oh, well, they didn't play well that day. The only reason they're complaining about it is this past history in our minds that they can't be good because they're not the Blue Bloods. And that's the problem with this year's event. You got Boise, you got Arizona State, you got Indiana, you got all these Blue Bloods. What nobody really wanted to give any credence to on Friday night is, you know what? We've been saying this for a couple of weeks now. Notre Dame might be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
They are blowing people out. They are playing better than like anybody in the country right now, arguably, right? And we don't know. We'll find out. But they might be pretty good, and nobody wanted to say that the other night.
Man, I can't wait to.
Everybody was just like, well,
their
Indiana, right?
Oh, dude, I'm all good. Hey,
So
I'm great over the weekend.
And then, obviously, I mean, the Lane Kiffin stuff is just
Well, that was
absurd, right?
Yeah, look.
Tennessee, hey, you guys, Hammy, be honest. You guys were in your high and mighty, right? Just means more. SEC's feeling pretty good about themselves, right? Indiana gets crushed and everything. SMU got embarrassed. And you thought going to that Tennessee game, okay, let's see what Tennessee can do. And then they, you know what? They didn't do what they were supposed to do. They got a little embarrassed, got crushed. And now all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, the SEC narrative can tone it down a little bit. For another week.
Look, here's what I'll say. I am an SEC truther, but I would say, and I'm not drawing or trying to retrace steps. There are a lot of things that SEC truthers say that I don't get behind. Okay, so I'm not that guy. I'm not going to come out and say like a lot of people would that the SEC is the Super League, right? Because that's the argument, and honestly, I get it. I get why people make it. Because we've won so many national championships.
That's a very good league,
right? Yeah. I obviously. So I'm the guy that we are the best league. We're not a super league, right? So I get there's a huge difference in between those two things. I did expect Tennessee to win that football game. Was my tail tucked beneath my legs that they got blown out? At the same time, no, because so many people only root for the conference. And I'm still not that guy. I root for our conference in passing, but I'm not crushed when we lose. I stick to my team, right? And that's why I would question the people that are so sold out for the conference, right? I get it. It makes you look better, all of it. And I do root for them. But I'm not sold out to the fact that, look, as a Georgia guy, still kind of, Ohio State, I hate them too, but still kind of got a little bit of pleasure watching Tennessee getting worked up and down the field, and their fans doing the surrender cobra 10 minutes into the ball game.
But see, this is the problem. And Hamby, I think you're an outlier here. You're a little bit of a minority here.
I mean, you could say I play both sides.
For sure. But this is the Lane Kiffin thing, right? It's like Lane Kiffin thinks he's all high and mighty. And listen, I'm on the Lane train. How many times have I saying Lane Kiffin's praises on the show? I love Lane Kiffin. I think he's great for the game of football. But you can't just tie your wagon to the SEC and think you're so high and mighty, and then Tennessee goes out there and does that. Like, I'm glad it happened how it happened.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad Tennessee. Sorry, Nick in the daytime. Big fan of you, dude, and congratulations once again on your engagement. But I'm glad your team got their asses kicked.
Because it was good for the sport.
Because you had to get brought down a notch.
It was good for the sport because
of course.
The SEC stuff is out of control. ESPN's out of control, quite frankly. You got Sean McDonough. You're talking about these guys that shouldn't be in. You've got Kirk Herbstreit talking about like the SEC. Listen,
I just sent you Shannon Sharp's.
Get off the stuff with the SEC.
I
mean, listen, the SEC has traditionally been very good. It's a great conference. It could probably go form its own little league and have its own little title if you want it that way. But I'm going to continue to be consistent with what I've said all year when it comes to the SEC this year, where nobody can factor this in. I'm not talking about your daddy's SEC team and your 35 and 45 and 55 years of SEC stuff. I'm talking about 2024. The SEC was average, like the rest of college football was. It's an average year around college football. And if Greg Sankey and everybody else wants to pound their chest about how great your conference is, then that's your own damn fault for inviting everybody in, beating each other up, and then not having the teams to get in at the end of the day. Stop bitching about the scheduling and who you play. You lost to Kentucky, Ole Miss. You went to the Swamp and lost to Florida with everything on the line. That's your fault, Lane Kiffin. Win a freaking game. Hide the phone. Now just come win the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. We'll see you in Jacksonville, buddy.
Yeah. Lane
Can we swear on the show now or what? What the heck was that? Can we say that? I'm saying it now. All right.
Yes.
Look, I got one B word on standby. I got one B word on standby.
Save it for a rainy day.
No, I'm gonna save it for. I'll save it sometime during the show. Don't worry,
Brent.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that, Brent. Exactly.
The way that I think I have a pretty good track record, consistent on this front, where I think that Ole Miss potentially is one of the best 12 teams in the country. However, I did not bat one eye when they got left out. Same with Bama, same with South Carolina. What was my track record? I thought Georgia was the best team in the country last year. I didn't bat an eye last year when we got left out because we didn't win our game. We didn't win the SEC championship game. We lost by 3 points.
I was actually mad last year at Georgia. I thought Georgia was the best team in the country. They didn't get in.
I was too. However,
that's probably because I was just Alabama in again.
Yeah, that's true. Right?
Literally, I did not complain one time last year when my own team got left out, and I still thought they were the one because we didn't take care of our own business.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, maybe that is the outlier there. So Ole Miss, you deserve to be sitting at home.
But I think two things can be true here. I think there's a lot of parity in college football, yes. But also I think if you take the Big Ten and you take the SEC and you take the top two teams from that conference, I think they are a par ahead of everybody else. Not saying those teams can't be beat. And no, I'm not going to throw Penn State in this mix, but Penn State will probably beat Boise State. But I'm saying you take the top two teams from the Big Ten, top two teams from the SEC, and we'll see how Arizona State does and everything. But I think they're just a squeak ahead of everybody else. That can be true as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, the line is for that game.
Nobody is going to rank the leagues and pick anybody else above the SEC.
No, for sure.
Even in a down year. But you can also sit here and say, yeah, it still wasn't that great.
Yeah, but you can also say the top three Big Ten teams are a lot better than the top three SEC teams. I mean, you can say that, Hamby. I know you don't want to hear it.
No, there's two different ways to look at it, right? There's always top-heavy versus the strength of the whole league.
Correct.
But what the SEC folks do is they say, look at our league. Look at Lane Kiffin saying, we got to go on the road. We got to play this team. Dude, we got to play
Vanderbilt.
This is not 2 years ago or 3 years ago. You did not have to do all that. Mm-hmm. The teams that you were playing on the road were average football teams in an average college football season. They weren't that different than going to play, you name it. Now, would they win? Maybe. But again, Florida played. What did I say a few weeks ago? I think Florida could beat anybody in the country right now. And how good really is Florida? I mean, Florida's much better than we thought they were going to be. They got better down the stretch of the season. South Carolina, could they have beaten anybody in the country the way they were playing down the stretch?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like they could. So, and I'm not telling, Lane Kiffin might be able, to your point, be able to beat anybody in the country. But he obviously can lose to some pretty average teams too.
Yeah.
And he proved that. And that's your own fault. That's the way the system works. That's the one thing I like about this, Hamby, about the 12-teamer. To be honest with you, if you're fighting over whether it's 12, 13, 11 team, like 11, 12, 13, then you don't really have a lot to stand on. And that's the reality is. Like Georgia and Florida State had plenty to stand on last year, in my opinion. When you're talking about the top four and those are the next two teams out, there was plenty of argument there.
Yeah.
Plenty of argument for both in a variety of ways. If you're Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, you name it.
Bama got embarrassed by Oklahoma.
You don't have enough to stand on.
Embarrassed by Oklahoma.
So that's what I do like about the 12-team system. It's like, how many people are complaining about the bubble in college basketball when you didn't make the 68? It's like, if it's either 68 or 69 or 67, can you really complain?
So explain
if
this
it's Murray
to me.
State, I'm going to war. But yeah, besides that.
Explain this to me. Why is everybody all of a sudden vouching or pushing for a 14? What is that going to do?
A what team?
For what?
14.
14?
Everybody's.
Well, I think the only the way to get to wherever would be probably a 16 team, and then there's no
14.
Buys.
I'm like, what is that?
So why is 14?
Choose?
You had 2 buys, and then everybody else plays?
Yeah, I guess they just think that the 13th and 14th, but that's not going to fix anything.
Yeah, it's just, here's the thing. I'm curious. We still have more to learn. Like, will the teams that played and then didn't have the bye, will that hurt them? Mm-hmm. Because they're not used to this. This isn't like an NFL team that's used to playing in that first round. We could also look at the other way. Will you be rusty? Well, see, the thing about college football is you're more used to that. Mm-hmm. You're used to holding out to your bowl game. So the extra rest might be more beneficial to those bye teams. The other thing I thought that obviously proved to be pretty significant is home field.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, the home field won easily.
Sure.
So
But this is
until we see some different samples of that.
But here's the issue, right? Because now you can say, okay, well, it's the home field. It's a big deal. Okay, maybe the home field is a big deal. That's fine. But now you're playing neutral spots. So Boise State, Penn State. There's really no excuses now. It's mano a mano. Let's see what you got. All right, Arizona State, Texas. It's no home field advantage. Mano a mano. Let's see what you got.
Guys, real quick,
Please just to make them competitive games.
Guess
Please.
the line.
Guess
these. I'll take you
okay,
through it.
every game?
Yeah.
I like this game. I mean, should we go Oregon, Ohio State first?
Well, let's start with the one that's next Tuesday. Penn State, Boise State.
Oh, that's on Tuesday. Okay.
So that's on New Year's Eve.
That's the Cotton? Which one? I can't remember.
I'm going to say that's
Fiesta Bowl.
12 and a half.
I'm going to say 10.
10 and a half.
Yes.
Penn State, obviously.
Almost 10 and a half, damn it.
Give me one. Yep.
Okay. Texas, Arizona State. Austin first.
I think it's Arizona State's been the hot team. I think it's going to be closer than I'm going to say 6 for Texas.
I was leading 10 and a half again. I'm going to go 8.5 though.
8.5, huh?
14.
Really?
14.
Wow, that's surprising.
But that
Getting on the books right now?
That's where we all agree. Immediate fix.
Well, but
fact
once
that
again, we said the
3.
same thing about Clemson, Hamby, and what happened? Was that game close at the end? No.
I mean,
Well, it actually was.
got close.
No,
but-
it actually was. I mean, Clemson played. I mean, Clemson, if they get in it, though, that's a real game, right? I mean,
yeah, but
they got behind early. They came, but it's not like they didn't belong on the field. And that's not the best rendition of Clemson either, but it's not like they didn't belong on the field with them.
But it kind of justified the spread, because I remember we had the conversations like, what does Vegas know? Why is Clemson
why is
such
it
a big
12 and a half,
underdog?
right?
Yeah.
And it didn't move, but I'm a little surprised at that 14 because Arizona State's been playing really well. And this will be at a neutral site. That's not a home game for anybody.
True.
So
Interesting.
that's a little surprising. But I also am not surprised to see the lines influenced by the first round games.
yeah.
Right? So we'll see. Again, I'm rooting for, to your point, I'm rooting for Boise State and Arizona State too.
Please.
But I will say this. I'm going to say this even before it happens. And I think one of those teams, I don't really think Boise State can win. I thought SMU was the better of those kind of teams.
Well, I picked them to win, so.
I actually think SMU's a pretty solid team. I just think that kid played really bad. I mean, that's what happened. The quarterback makes those turnovers. Listen, Dan Marino once lost 62 to 7 here.
But can we all agree, everybody? Like, seriously, if Boise State somehow knocks off Penn State, can we take the Heisman away from Travis Hunter and give it to Ashton Genty? Honestly?
Well, I don't know if we take it away, but I get your point. Yeah. I mean, that will be
it
that.
away.
Like you said, that'll show you how valuable that guy is.
I mean-
if they're able to win. Of course, he's going to have to play well in that game.
What
but-
you think?
He's gonna
What
have every
is
opportunity
Boise
to.
State's
He's gonna
defense
carry it
going to
35 times.
score 35 points on defense? Like, no, it's going to be Ashton Genty.
It was really interesting if you wanted to talk like Boise State Boise State changed the game of all of this, really, of the group of 5 teams specifically, and almost brought the Cinderella to college football decades ago now with the whole Oklahoma game.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have a chance to kind of do it again, which is really interesting in that respect, the way we're talking. But what just to finish my thought, even if Boise State loses and Arizona State loses and the other teams win, what I'm not going to do is change on this. I'm still a fan of the 12-teamer, and it's a 1-year sample. It's not enough. 1 year does not give you enough. Now, 1 year we knew when the seeding came out that that's a flaw in the system. You can change that. But I'm not giving up on the 12-teamer. I'm telling you, it's going to, every year will be its own little different thing. And some years you're going to get 11 Power 4 teams in it. And the teams that you know and your blue bloods, and everybody's going to be like, this is the way it should be. and then other teams, you're going to get this. And by the way, sooner or later in the next 5 years, you'll see a Cinderella. It might happen this year. Maybe it's Arizona State. But I bet you won't just see those blue bloods win.
I don't think that will.
You'll see a George Mason make the Final Four. Like nobody would ever said that, Hamby. 14 seed making the Final Four. It happened. Like it will if you give it enough time, that stuff will happen.
What would be like would it be like a Boise State? Would it be like the George Mason? Or like who's like your George Mason?
Yeah, quite honestly, this year I think Arizona State and SMU and Boise State would have been that qualifier, right? Okay. I think they would have fit in that conversation. Like Clemson doesn't fit because they're kind of like become a blue blood in this, and they become a power, even though this wasn't a great year for them. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like one of those teams will make it to the championship game, or whatever it is, or upset the number one team like Oregon. You know, or is this enough? Is this enough to do it? Imagine Arizona State, who's really got very little pedigree, beats Texas. That does it. Right?
SEC fans will be in shambles. Man.
Well, the one thing
Let's
about
finish the
SEC
line.
fans, I'll give the SEC fans this. I
give
don't
them
think
nothing.
they're all for, they haven't fully welcomed Texas into that fray. I don't think
Until Texas wins the whole thing.
Well, they might.
Oh,
but
yeah.
this pom-pom
pissed.
conference, which is,
SEC.
by the way, it's one of the weirdest psychologies in all of sports. All of sports is the SEC thing. But I don't really feel like they've totally welcomed Texas in yet. Maybe you're right, until they have to.
I'll tell you what, they welcome Oklahoma in with that butt whooping to Alabama. That was some SEC football in the trenches, baby. All right, what do you got for us? Hand me the lines. Hit us
Oregon,
with them.
Ohio State.
Man.
It was a 1-point game early on at Oregon. And Ohio State just got themselves a little more street cred there with
State's
that
good.
win.
I'm gonna say Oregon -4.
I was going to say -3.
Sorry, I think you had the first go to, Brent.
Ohio State is favored in this football game
Really?
Told you,
by
man.
2.5.
I don't like that.
Really?
See, this is the dumb thing about it. I don't like. I think they're the two best teams. Sorry, Hamby. I think they're the two best teams in college football, and they're playing each other the second round. I don't like it.
Yeah, but
I do not like it.
Here's where I.
Well, then if you're going to play, hold on, real quick. If you're going to apply that argument,
Sure.
then it's don't lose to Michigan.
No, I mean I get it.
You know, it's the same thing.
This
It's
is
the
no
same.
different than the Chiefs playing the Bills in the divisional round. That happens.
Yeah, but
You know-
where the Bills? I mean,
I mean, you
guess
get
we'll
the
see.
Ravens actually.
Yeah,
were,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
know my
yeah.
point. You're
I
playing
got
two
you.
great teams. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. It just doesn't add up, and it's not. The draw is a big thing in sports, especially when you're playing tournament stuff.
Yeah.
The draw is a big thing. I mean, heck, you can even go to golf, and most people say
How
your
do you-
draw, whether it's in the morning or afternoon, is a big thing. You can't control that.
I don't get how you justify that. I mean, I think they're the best team in college football. Though is the underdog.
Yeah.
That is crazy, and they beat them.
I know, but I guess it's hard to beat a team twice.
Well, or Vegas is like, hey, we got more Ohio State money. It might be playing that game a little
you
bit.
think? I mean, I guess they. I was gonna say, well, home field advantage, but it doesn't matter. Ohio State travels really well.
They try.
I mean, it's in Pasadena,
Yeah.
right? It's the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rose Bowl.
All right, last one. Notre Dame, Georgia.
Brent, I think you're going first in this one.
I'm going to say Georgia's favored by 2.5.
I think Notre Dame's going to be favored by 3 with the backup quarterback for Georgia.
No.
Not even close, huh?
Well, I mean, Brent Georgia's -1.5.
It's almost a pick 'em game there.
So yeah,
That's good. And by the way, that is the hardest one to tell, right? Because you don't know what.
Heck yeah.
Even you have no idea what Georgia's going to do.
I think that Ohio State, Oregon's
Well,
going to
that's
be a coin
true.
flip.
Got two great games there.
Yeah.
But here's the good thing, guys. See, this is why it is good. Okay, you suffer a little bit in the first round. It's a little bit like NCAA tournament. It evens itself out. You end up with chalk sooner or later, the 1s and the 2s and the 3s, and you get a great Elite Eight. Well, right now we might have some. I actually think that Arizona State game is intriguing. The Boise Penn State has an ability to be a dud, but then those other two games are like semifinal kind of games.
But I guess
Oregon or Ohio State against Texas will be.
For
And
sure.
then you could get Penn State, Notre Dame, or Penn State, Georgia. It's going to be. So you get 2 rounds of that. What's wrong with that?
Because I just think that the top. So okay, if I was going to rank the top 4 teams in this, when the bracket started, when the 12-team bracket was put into place, and I'm going to rank the top 4 teams, I would probably say Oregon. I would say Ohio State. I would say Notre Dame, and then I would either say Texas or Georgia. Arguments for both. I'd probably lean Georgia because Georgia beat Texas twice now, right? So those are my top 4 teams. And the fact that they're playing,
that's pretty daggum good playoff.
but the fact that they're playing each other now in the second round, like 2 of those, so the top 4 teams are playing each other in the second round. I don't like it. I just don't like it. And I get it. Like, okay, you got to beat Michigan and Georgia's got to win this. I get all that. But I just don't like the fact that you have such quality teams playing each other right now.
I get that. Hey, I want to ask you about Tyson Fury and Usyk. Did you watch it?
I
Didn't know
watched
it was
it.
happening.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was happening. I watched it. I thought the right call was made. I thought Usyk won, but also there was like the biggest surf competition in the world take place, the Eddie Invitational.
Is that Portugal?
No, Hawaii.
Oh, it's Hawaii.
But so
I thought I saw a tweet about Portugal.
we have 1 minute. I don't have time to
go.
go over it. But long story short, they have it every second weekend in December. But the waves have to be over 25 feet, and if they're not, they cancel it. So it's only gone down like 10 times in the last 44 years.
Really?
It went down this past weekend.
How good was it?
Because the waves were like 30 feet tall. Insane, Brent.
That's pretty wild.
Dang, I didn't get to swear either. Oh, well, it's all good.
Has Tyson Fury lost his steam because of these two losses?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think kind of the luster. And Usyk's just kind of like the next big thing.
Yeah. All right, we got Jags Report live tonight. We might have Evan Ingram on the show. He was scheduled, but we're still trying to confirm because of the surgery last week. We'll see you out there. Come get your holiday week kicked off with us. The Jags Report live, 7 o'clock, Fox 30, String Sports Brewery in Jacks Beach.
Hamby, Brent, everybody, have a bitchin' holiday.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a good one. We'll be back next Monday. We'll have best of the rest of the week here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC. We are professional grade.
Another exciting week of basketball for the Ospreys of North Florida, both at home and on the road. The men's basketball team started off the week on Thursday at home with a 115-83 win over Warner. It was a huge night for Ospreys freshman Josh Harris, who dropped 26 on 11 of 14 shooting to go along with his 14 boards in 27 minutes. Then on Saturday, the Ospreys traveled to Statesboro to take on Georgia Southern. UNF found themselves down 17 in the second half, but came storming back to force overtime. Unfortunately, the Ospreys couldn't complete the full comeback as they fall 93-91. Both the men and the women are back at UNF Arena this week as the men take on UNC Greensboro and the women take on UNC Asheville. Both games are on Saturday. And remember, you can find schedules, results, tickets, and more at UNFospreys.com.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
New to town or always been in town? Everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martineaus get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, We usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza, some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're gonna love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us, and at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations, Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the